The official astronomical reports released in early June 2026. They are a fabricated narrative designed to pacify the global population. They claim Sagittarius A is merely experiencing routine accretion disk fluctuations, describing it as the galaxy breathing. In reality, we have been receiving a structured, highly engineered transmission directly from the event horizon since May 28th. This is not natural stellar phenomena. It is a deliberate and aggressively hostile broadcast. The academic community is being silenced, under threat of immediate treason charges. The mathematics embedded within the initial pulse alone, they completely upend our foundational understanding of space-time topology. The signal carries a destructive mimetic payload designed to override human cognitive functions upon extended auditory exposure. I isolated the primary carrier wave on June 2nd, and the translation algorithms produced results that defy rational sanity. We are not just being watched by whatever resides in the core, we are being actively targeted. The broadcast is a countdown, and it is accelerating. The events on the International Space Station on June 5th were drastically misrepresented by the global space agencies. There was no catastrophic coolant leak or micrometeoroid impact in the Zvezda module. Commander Harrison intercepted the raw, unencrypted transmission during a routine deep space telemetry sweep. The payload infected the station's communication arrays, forcing Harrison to realize the terminal nature of the broadcast. He attempted to manually scuttle the station entirely to prevent the signal from relaying down to Earth's primary receivers. Ground control initiated a lethal remote override protocol the moment they realized Harrison was trying to sever the orbital relay. They willingly sacrificed the entire crew on June 5th, just to ensure the signal continued its unbroken descent to terrestrial servers. The administration believes they can harness the structural data within the transmission for weaponization. They are blinded by hubris, failing to comprehend that the signal is a psychological contagion, not a blueprint. The broadcast is already seeping into the civilian infrastructure. By the early hours of June 6th, localized power grids near major observatories began experiencing unexplained rhythmic fluctuations, mirroring the signal's frequency. The entities broadcasting from the galactic center are using our own technological networks as a conductive medium to propagate the payload. The breathing metaphor fed to the press is sick irony, as the signal effectively suffocates organic consciousness. Every telescope array on the planet is currently locked onto Sagittarius A by automated, unyielding military mandates. We are building our own execution chamber. My colleagues who first noticed the anomaly in late May, they have simply vanished from all institutional directories. The cover-up is absolute, heavily enforced by shadow divisions operating entirely outside international law or congressional oversight. They are isolating anyone who understands the harmonic resonance of the transmission. I fled my post at the observatory on June 4th, taking only the raw analog tapes before the purge teams arrived. The digital records have already been thoroughly scrubbed and replaced with the fabricated accretion data. The nature of the broadcast suggests an intelligence that predates the formation of our local cluster by billions of years. It perceives human consciousness as a localized infection, a biological error that must be corrected through overwhelming acoustic and electromagnetic force. The signal forces the human brain to process extra-dimensional geometry, resulting in catastrophic neural hemorrhaging. The ISS crew experienced this firsthand on June 5th, before Harrison made his final, desperate bid for sabotage. The government knows this, yet they continue to record. The narrative of the Milky Way breathing is a psychological conditioning tactic to make the impending atmospheric disruptions seem natural. When the sky begins to emit that low, deafening hum, the public will assume it is merely astronomical weather. They will not realize the atmosphere itself is acting as an amplifier for the hostile transmission, until the neurological damage is irreversible. We have perhaps weeks, maybe only days, before the signal reaches maximum amplitude. The events of June 5th were our last chance to cut the cord. Harrison's final logged transmission from the ISS on June 5th was a frantic warning about the shape of the audio wave. He described it as a fractal entity, consuming the station's internal network and inducing aggressive visual hallucinations. He knew that if the transmission hit the massive ground arrays, it would create an inescapable acoustic dome over the hemisphere. His sacrifice was completely nullified by the automated fallback relays situated in deep underground military bases. We are trapped in the receiver pool. You must understand that a supermassive black hole does not naturally emit a perfectly timed prime number sequence embedded in gamma radiation. The June reports are the most profound scientific lies ever perpetuated upon the human race. This is an engineered extermination order, broadcast across 70,000 light years, specifically tuned to our biological frequency. The fact that it is arriving exactly now implies a terrifying synchronization with our current level of technological vulnerability. They waited until we were listening. By midnight on June 6th, the signal began to exhibit signs of localized adaptation, mutating its syntax based on the telemetry it received from Earth. It is a learning algorithm, dissecting our digital defenses and mapping the psychological weaknesses of our species. The astrophysics community is paralyzed by fear, forced to monitor the end of the world under the strict supervision of armed sentinels. Any deviation from the accretion disk narrative results in immediate permanent disappearance. The truth is isolated in the dark. I implore anyone who intercepts this analog recording to disconnect all digital receivers and destroy any internet-capable hardware immediately. The transmission is actively searching for nodes to anchor its destructive code into our physical reality. Harrison understood this on June 5th, realizing the ISS was the primary orbital anchor, and he died trying to break the chain. We are actively inviting our executioners into our homes through our screens and speakers. Silence is the only remaining defense mechanism we possess. We have fundamentally misunderstood the nature of the galactic center for our entire history. It is not a passive gravity well, but an active, malicious containment zone that has finally breached its ancient parameters. The signal we are receiving now is the sound of that containment failing. A roar of cosmic hostility directed outward. The anomalous readings recorded on June 1st were the initial shockwaves of the entity breaking through the event horizon. The universe is not empty. It is aggressively occupied. Every moment you spend trusting the official astronomical authorities is a moment closer to complete cognitive collapse. The breathing anomaly is an intentional mistranslation of the signal's core directive, which is better described as a screaming command. The auditory hallucinations reported by night shift operators on June 6th are the preliminary symptoms of the neural overwrite. The broadcast forces you to perceive the architecture of the void, breaking the mind's ability to process linear time. We are being unmade by sound. The timeline of the ISS tragedy clearly shows that ground control locked the airlocks, to prevent the crew from venting the station. They wanted the astronauts to endure the full duration of the transmission to gather biological reaction data. Harrison's final act of defiance was manually severing the life support systems to end their suffering before the alien geometry took hold. The resulting leak was a desperate suicide pact to escape the horrific visions induced by the broadcast. Their blood is on the administration's hands. I am broadcasting this warning on a closed analog loop, but the interference from the black hole's signal is already bleeding through the static. The events of this month will not be recorded in any history book, because there will be no human consciousness left to read them. The broadcast is in the air, it is in the wires, and soon it will be in your mind. Do not trust the static, and prepare for the final transmission. The void is speaking, and it demands silence.